Alright, so Tegan here, and I just read Uncanny Avengers, issue number 7. So we start off, and we're at the Starcore Station, and there is this ceremony, ritual thing going on, where we have Genocide, who's Apocalypse's son, who's summoning a Celestial so he can become the Apocalypse heir or something. I don't know. I was kind of confused. It was weird. So yeah, he summons a Celestial, and he's going through the ceremony, and it's revealed that the Apocalypse twins are missing. So Kang didn't like kill them. He just like took them away. And so let's see here. But yeah, we have like what's his name? Genocide. So yeah, Genocide is summoning the Celestial, and he's like uh pledging his like service to evolution and how he'll serve the Celestials, um stuff like that. And so there's like, what is this thing? A death seed that will empower his most trusted servant to become, I don't know. I have no idea how this works, because like the ceremony gets interrupted, and then but yeah, he's basically doing this so he can become the successor to the throne of Apocalypse, since he's Apocalypse's son. And even though the Apocalypse twins were born in the last issue, which would have been higher up on the succession, or not the last issue. It's a couple issues ago. I think it was issue 5. Yeah, but then they got kidnapped by King. They would have been next in line to be rulers, but since they disappeared, Genesis, or I'm sorry, Genocide is here to summon the Celestial so he can become the heir to Apocalypse and go through this ceremony thing. But before he can, it's interrupted by the Apocalypse twins, who are older, so they've obviously come back from another part in time, and the son twin has Bjornir, the axe that has been enchanted to break celestial armor. So he proceeds to basically attack the Celestial, and he basically ends up just like attacks its like energy core, and like all its energy like just spills out, and he kills it. Let's see. Yeah, and like there's all these like narrations of like the Celestial and how it's basically just like sad that and Celestial has been assassinated for like the first time ever. So the Apocalypse twins are just attacking as after that happens, and they're like going after the four henchmen, or the four, is it the four horsemen of Apocalypse that serve Genocide. But they're basically they're no challenge, and they just like get destroyed like with very little effort. And so it ends with Genocide attacking the Apocalypse twin, that's the son, and it seems that he gets I don't know, it doesn't like say what happens, but it's tough to believe that he's basically been dealt with, and he's probably like dead, because the Apocalypse twins were pretty much destroying everybody. But they didn't. It seems like they took their mom with them, who was one of the horsemen of the Apocalypse. So they probably took her and then like left. And then after that, we went back to the Avengers mansion. So at the end of issue 5, where they had the press conference, Rogue basically kills the Grim Reaper in one punch. It was pretty awesome, because she like absorbed Wonder Man's powers, but it was like more than she thought it was, because she just punched him like it was a normal punch, but then she punched him and then it killed him, and it's like, holy crap, like just one punch just did it in. It's like crazy. Um, so it's like Nick Fury's there, and then Director Hill's there, and they're talking about how Red Skull's movement has basically been like become embedded in society, and it's like an idea now, and it's spreading, and like even without him like being able to use Xavier's powers to influence people, that there's still like a counter wave of people that are going like throughout like through their own means and necessities to like go and kill mutants on their own. So that's happening, and then but it's just like Agent Hill, Nick Fury, and Havoc are only the people meeting in that meeting. So it's not all the other Avengers, and then the other members of the Unity team are in a room where they're like looking at footage of Red Skull, and they're like, okay, what's going down? And they're basically just having like a giant disagreement. Well, they aren't having a disagreement, but then Havoc comes in and he's like, yeah, I made the call that Rogue, you're gonna have to sit out for a couple of months because, Agent Hill can like talk this to or like spin this to the media to where you totally took down a bad guy and it wasn't your fault or whatever. But we gotta have like a good image for the public. So that happens, and then they all just start like infighting and arguing because Rogue's like, well, I don't want to even be here, so why should I bother being here if I'm just going to be sitting on the bench? And then Scarlet Witch is there, and she's all like, it's all like saying all this stuff about her, and then everybody's like arguing and blah blah blah. But let's see what happens. Oh, and then Alex says like, while you're not in the field with the team, you'll be handling the investigation of Magneto and trying to like track down Scott's team. So that happens, and and then Scarlet Witch is like, yeah, it's a great call, Alex. Who better to hunt down Magneto than one of his floozies? And then and then we're at the peak with the Sword HQ, which is the Sentient World Observation and Response Department. That's what SWORD stands for. So that's SWORD HQ, the peak. It's this giant space station in the orbit above Earth. And then Agent Brand's there, Captain America's there, and Sunfire's there. And they're looking at the video footage of what happened at the Sun like an hour ago, I believe. It was like, yeah. So they're watching that, and they're like, well... Or she's like, yeah, you want to see this? It's pretty crazy. Like, a complete threat to the galaxy crazy, or she says something like that. And then she shows it to him, and she's like, yeah, it looks like a Celestial just got assassinated. Captain America just goes, God. Because, Agent Brand says, I'm glad you appreciate the scope of this. This is fate of our galaxy... big, or fate of our galaxy big. Any information you have might, and then they're like or then like Sunfire is like, well, those look like Apocalypse twins, or not Apocalypse twins, but like one of them has the that or genocides the son of Apocalypse, and then one of them kind of resembles, but they don't get to finish their thoughts. And then they see that a celestial ship is warping into orbit. But then we go back to Avengers Mansion, and you have Wonder Man who's like sitting looking at a picture of him and his brother, and then Scarlet Witch comes in, and then he's just talking to her about like how he feels like an abomination, how he shouldn't exist, blah blah blah. But she's like, oh, but you're never dead, something something. And then Wonder Man's like, oh, I love you, and then she's like, yeah, I love you too, but only as a brother. So it was this weird conversation there. And then we have like Wasp and Havoc, and she's showing him the fashion line that she brainstormed, and this was mentioned in the issue number 5 as well, when actually I think it was after Wasp and Wonder Man arrive at the mansion, because they were brought in to like get good PR for the team. So this is just like a throwback to that. and they're sitting there going through the like the fashion line or whatever, and they start talking, and then it basically goes into how Wasp is just like the super positive, optimistic person, and like Havoc has all this. It's not negative per se. It's just he's not as positive as Wasp, and then like Wasp is just like telling him that like with the stuff that we do and like what we do, like we could die any day, so we should just like try to be getting as much happy time in. That's not what she says, but that's kind of the point. She's like live life to the fullest every day or whatever. Then she doesn't try to seduce him, but she like is totally have like trying to like I don't know. I'm trying to think of like how to phrase this, but like but basically she said like they're talking and she's totally like hitting on him. Well, she's not hitting on him, but the line she says the line, "I'm here for anything you need," and she's totally like holding his hand. It's really weird and stuff. But then like the Avengers alarm goes off and they have to go back in the symbol in the room, and they're looking at video footage of Captain America on the sword base, and then they show the image of the Apocalypse twin with the axe, and then both Thor and Logan see it and they're frozen, or like there's a little narration thing that says both Thor and Wolverine look at the site, ghost from their past call. So now I'm kind of wondering, like, if the Logan that was in issue 6 with Apocalypse, was that actually Wolverine, or is that like one of his ancestors? Because I'm interested to like think about that, because it's like, I guess it wouldn't be. It could be, because like you don't know how old he is, but then, well, I guess I haven't read the origin. I'm not sure if, whatever. And then Thor knows it because that's the axe that he totally did that to. So yeah, his fault. Yeah, Captain American's like, yeah, we need reinforcements. And then like he says something, but then like the feed cuts out, and then Havoc's like, all right, giving orders like, Wasp, stay here. You're gonna be the eyes and ears. Thor, I need you to. But then like he turns around and Thor's not there. He's already like gone off to go do stuff. And then we're back on the Sword HQ at the peak, and then Agent Brand has everybody evacuate the station in escape pods. But when they get to the escape pods, like Captain America's is like not opening, and Sunfire's like, "Why are we leaving in the face of danger?" And then Captain America's like, "You're welcome to stay if you wish, Sunfire." So even though Captain America's like escape pod doesn't open, Sunfire throws him into his, and he's like, and then Captain America's like, "Shiro, don't do this." And then like before he can finish the sentence, like the escape pod blows away, and then it cuts back to Sunfire inside the Sword HQ as the Celestial ship is crashing into it, which is why they were evacuating. It's because it was about to be rammed by the Celestial ship. So that happens. And then the Sword HQ is rammed and basically just like broken into pieces and falls into orbit into the atmosphere, and like there's a giant chunk that's falling over looks like Rio de Janeiro or Brazil. I think is it Rio or Rio de Janeiro? That Rio. Yeah, whatever. That place in Brazil with the statue. And then it shows Thor there, and he's like trying to stop all the pieces and stuff, and stop the giant chunk from falling. And then like the last lines of the final panel are basically his memory replays a terrible mistake he made centuries ago. The image of his great ex Bjorn, and the stern words of his father, be it tomorrow or 1,000 years from now, the mistakes you made, or the mistakes you have made will doom us all. So, what he did 1,000 years ago, or whenever that was when he fought Apocalypse in the last issue, has now returned to bite him in the rear, and a Celestial has been assassinated, and stuff is about to get very intense. But that was Avengers vs. X-Men number 7. I enjoyed that. Pretty good. Lots of stuff happening. So yeah, I will be doing Wolverine and the X-Men after this, and that'll be it for this week's comics. So yeah, taking here last book of the week, Wolverine and the X-Men number 28. So previously, Dog had come back with all these robots and cowboys and other people to trick the students into helping him fight them as Wolverine left him in the Savage Land. So this issue starts with Heidi and Brew, and they're just... Well, Heidi's like, she's saying that she's decided to stay in the Savage Land. It's like, yeah, I don't want to go back, whatever. And then, let's see here. Oh, then it shows like Wolverine, and he was telling Brew like where the jet would be when it was time to leave, and like for Brew not to forget, because he was like thinking that Brew was actually like still in there somewhere. But then it goes back to ID and Brew, and then they get attacked by a dinosaur, but just like falls over before it can attack them. And then like Wolverine just like jumps through it. Well, he like bursts out through it from the inside. And then it goes back to Dog fighting all the different factions that had teamed up against him in the last issue at the end, since they found out that he had brought them, or figured out, or just come to the conclusion that he had brought them out of a time to fight against the students and stage the fight. So the students are basically watching this happen, and then they're just like, yeah, should we stop this, or what's going on? And then they're all kind of arguing on what to do. And then iBoy takes a gun, or 2 guns, and like just kills some robots. And he starts talking about all the stuff that, you know, he's been observing since he can see everything of everybody. And then kind of takes out Shot Girl, but before she can do anything, a caveman gets thrown at her. And then you see Dog, and he's basically about to, you know, attack them or whatever. But before he can, they all are basically standing as a team before him, like, okay, well, if you want to take us on, we'll take you on. But before they can throw down, ID, Brew, and Wolverine come back from where they were to them, and then Wolverine and Dog don't really fight, because Wolverine's like, well, I'm not going to kill you. You're gonna have to kill me. So I'm not killing you today. And then as like Dog is just like beating him down, like one of the future cowboy people, outlaws, is he like shoots at him, but then Kid Omega stops the bullet before it hits him. So that's pretty cool. And then I think it showed that like somehow Kid Omega was able to like read his past, possibly. I'm not sure. But because like Dog was wondering like why he saved him. And then the cowboy that shot him, or shot at him, basically puts his gun to his head, and he's like, okay, tell us what's going on and get us out of here or whatever before I kill you. But then you know, before anything can happen, Dog's like, yeah, you're right, Wolverine. Or not, you're right, Wolverine, but like my dad was right. I'm just a nobody, and I'll never accomplish anything. And then he like uses his time necklace thing to like transport out of there. And then Wolverine's left with the students, and he's just like contemplating about how like all the stuff that they've learned and what they've all learned from each other on this trip. And then, like Glob Herman though ends up not leaving, so or not leaving with the students, and we don't really. He gets like I wouldn't say kidnapped, but like taken by Sauron at the end of the issue. But it was by his own accord because he thought he was going to join the Hellfire Club, so or Hellfire Academy. So he probably had enough of being an X-Man. And we don't really know what his fate is, but whatever. And then, yeah, like I said, Wolverine just like contemplating about stuff on the plane ride back to the Jean Grey school. And then it shows future dog beating up present day dog, which is weird for an ending, but yeah. But it's like the future one is still like trying to like convince the present one that he is the best dog that ever, or the best Logan that ever lived. And then like the teaser for the next issue is just that they're gonna go to the Jean Grey school in the future. And yeah, this overview of this issue is kind of like phoned in because I'm kind of tired, but whatever. So I just want to like get it done before I like fell asleep, so or dozed off reading. So I powered through the end of the book, and that's that. But yeah, that's it for the comic digest this week of what I read, what I thought. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and feel free to leave any comments or whatever. And until you hear or see from me again, I'm now signing off.